Great. All right, ready to roll. So yeah, so a couple of you were here last week. This is different. I think I'm worried that maybe I scared some people away, but I hope not. um,
I think it's just retuning the violin that's the scary part.
is that the scary part?
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
All right. I chose a few tunes to try today for us, and they all go down. They don't go up. So I'm hoping that's a little less scary. Um, but alternate tunings are so important to this music, and not that everybody in tradition used them. A lot of people didn't, um, but a whole lot of people did, and I always have. I just think they just add so much possibility and draw from tradition so incredibly. Um, and so, is there anybody here that hasn't played outside of standard tuning yet? All right.
I've sort of been resistant to change the tuning because I'm afraid I'm going to break a string, and I know how to put it back on, but I don't know if I'd want to deal with it. Does it put it more at risk of breaking a string when you change the tuning?
Well, if it depends. If well, could I ask you all? Could you all make sure that you're muted if you're not speaking? Because I'm getting a lot of feedback. Um, yeah, if there's a few things. First of all, of course, it's the kind of strings that you use and the how in what good of a shape your instrument is in. Um, there are also a couple of things about I put when I change my strings, which I do fairly often because I tune so much. The place that they usually break is at the nut or at the bridge, and that's because when you tune, you're constantly sawing away at the string, and so it's good to put a little bit of like #2 pencil lead in there so that it glides a little more smoothly. And people say that makes a difference. I've always done it. Yeah, sure, there's a danger of breaking a string, but um, it's never. I don't find that as a detractor. I play three different. I play guitar, banjo, and fiddle, and I play in different tunings in all of them, and it's never been enough of a deterrent. I also use two fiddles when I perform, which is kind of handy. But the once again the tunings I chose for the class today, you tune the fiddle down and not up, so it should be a little less of a risk. Um,
Can you make suggestions on fiddle? Because even though I have one, I'm not that thrilled with it, and the bow. So later, can I ask you about suggestions on where to buy another fiddle and a better bow?
oh sure. Well, we could unless somebody's interested, we could have that conversation offline too. I don't want to take too much of the class this
Yeah,
time,
right.
but absolutely, I can give you some suggestions on things.
Thank you.
Happy to. Yeah. Okay. Well, let me start. Let us start by. I'd just like to demonstrate a few different tunings real quickly for you, just to give you an idea um, of how it changes things. Were any of you in the? I know Renato was at the live stream I did last night. Were any of the others of you here? Did you come? We did a benefit for Fiddle Tunes, the Festival of American Fiddle Tunes, and during which I had huge technical problems, which I praying that don't happen again today. But by the time we got going, I played in probably 5 different tunings last night. And in a way, it's kind of like playing 5 different instruments, you know. So right now, this is the tuning I left my fiddle in last night when I put it away. If I was in, and you don't need to tune to this, I'm just going to demonstrate these to you. But if you start in standard tuning, all I've done is to tune my G down to E. So I've got E, D, A, E, and what that gives me is the ability to have a really nice kind of dominant 70 kind of thing on the D string above. But I'll play you a Texas tune. A lot of us have these little the Dario electronic tuners that clip on the fiddle, and I think they're really great. It used to be a point of pride for me to tune by ear, and I ain't so proud anymore. I like convenience. What I keep when I teach is a strobe tuner, and that's a handy thing. They used to cost about $200, and now I think you can buy one for your iPhone for $10, and it works even better. But it's made by Strobosoft. Anyway, here's Say Old Man, Can You Play the Fiddle? So I don't know if you can tell, over the wires here, but it changes the whole timbre of the instrument. Every string that you play in any tuning makes all the other ones vibrate, and when they're tuned in a different tuning, it just changes the overtones of the instrument. These real low, throaty kind of tunings are really great for solo fiddling. But just to show you a couple other ones here. Let's go in the other direction. You become a little bit fearless about it after a while.
What was that first tune you played called?
That was called Say Old Man, Can You Play the Fiddle? Kind of autobiographical in my case. So this is one of the higher tunings that you'd encounter. I've just tuned my bottom two strings up a whole tone. So now I'm in A, E, A, E. This is a really common tuning. Some people call it sawmill tuning. Tommy Jarrell called it sawmill tuning, or just cross key A. Most commonly, the bottom string of these cross tunings are the root in the key that you're playing in. Not always, but for instance, in the last tune it was E, And in this one, and I'm going to play an A, so I'm A, E, A, E now. And it really allows you to, in this case, it's nice to have an A chord with no third. You got the root in the fifth. And of course, we fiddlers like to mess with the third anyway, so we don't want to fix third. I don't. There's only one tuning I know that does have that, and that's A, E, A, C sharp, but that's another topic. So here's Ways of the World. And you can hear you can pound on that bottom chord, and it's really nice. You can be a one-person band with a tuning like that. I love that. Taking it one crazy step further, let me tune this down. And this is a really uncommon tuning. It's just fun to kind of run through. I hope you don't mind me just kind of running through these for you, just to give you an idea. From A, E, A, E, I've just lowered my bottom string down to E. So now I've got E, E, A, E. And even though my bottom string is E, I'm going to play an A. So that's a different animal. And the first, pardon me while I rattle on, it's Sunday afternoon, but the first professional tour I ever went on, Kevin Burke, the great Irish fiddler, was on that tour, and he plays everything in standard tuning, or did at that time. This is 1994, so it was a while ago. But I retuned one time during a show, and he turned to me on stage and he says, "Bruce," he says, "play that tune where you tune all the strings of the fiddle to E except for the E." And that always, I never forgot that, but. Get Up in the Cool. I think that's a great title. And that's, once again, that's from Eck Robertson, the great fiddler from Amarillo, Texas. Champion fiddler. He made the very first commercial recording of old time music in 1922. If you've ever heard the original Sally Gooden, that was him, and he played that and something called Brilliancy Medley. And they're amazing recordings. But then he was recorded when he was quite old in the 1960s, and played a lot of really obscure tunes, and they're kind of all out there as well. So let's see. I'm going to get up in the tuning that I'd like for us to get into and play you one. And this is going to be G, D, A, D. And here I can play in the key of G, and I've got that nice open D to ring above. So here's Tommy Jarrell's Flatwoods, just to give you an idea. Once again, it just changes the timbre, and having the fourths in there instead of the fifths are really nice. Here's the tune I'd like to do in this tuning. It's called Snake Chapman's tune, and it's in the key of D, but same tuning as I just played in. It's a nice kind of crooked little tune. So check it out, and we can see if you like to do this one. Yeah. um, so if you want to get your tuning situated, once again, it's G, D, A, and then you're going to lower your E down to D. So we call it G-Dad tuning. Should have taught it on Father's Day, you know. And Snake Chapman was from Eastern Kentucky. His name was actually Owen Chapman, but apparently when he was growing up, he used to like to play in his neighbor's barn, and there were a lot of black snakes in there. Apparently he liked snakes, so they started calling him Snake. If you ever happen to run across, there's some nice recordings out of a fiddler named Paul David Smith, who was younger than Snake Chapman, but he grew up around him, learned a lot of his tunes. There's a very nice collection of him playing on Field Recorders Collective, if you want to check any of these things out. A very, very nice man. I got to meet him one time. But Snake Chapman didn't play a whole lot of double stops in his playing. He was a little bit more of a single note melody type fiddler. I really like, in a tuning like this, I'm a chord person, and I happen to love suspension chords. So if we've got a tune that goes from D to C, I can still ring the root on top and get chords, sneaky chords in there like that. But we can talk about that in a minute. But the first thing is, if you haven't played in this tuning before, maybe it's a good idea to just run through a little bit of a major scale, because now the string relationship between the top two strings is a fourth, not a fifth. So it might surprise you when you get to that top string. So I'll just play a D major scale going up and down a couple of times. Follow along with me and grab the fingering. You know, now your third finger on the A string is going to correspond to the open top string. So we've got, if you can see my left hand. So any way that you can think your way into it, make believe you're playing in D on the bottom three strings, and make believe you're playing in E at the same time on the top string. Maybe that doesn't work so well, but anyway, here's a scale played up and down in this tuning. I'll do it one more time. I feel all right? Okay, so here's your A part. Goes to the 5 chord, and that's the little crookedy part. So you got three phrases that the first three phrases actually are identical, I think. So taking the first little bit of the melody, let's just work on this, and ending on B. Okay. One more time. And now the chord has gone to C. Once again. Am I going too fast? That's the entire first phrase. So here's what we got. Now, and we can break the bowing down in a second. Once more. Is that all clear as mud? Cool. Okay. We're going to do that 3 times, and then the last phrase, we're going to grab the C sharp. And there's the crooked part of the tune because it's 5 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So take this. Three and now I want to talk about some double stops in a minute, but let's just get the melody to start. Okay, so here's the entire 8 part. Stop me with any questions. Please unmute and interrupt me if something's not clear. Couple more times. And you'll notice that when you cycle back into the 8 part, that first note of the 8 part phrase, you have to do what the bluegrassers call a push. You have to play. It comes early and anticipates the downbeat. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Here it comes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That feeling all right? Great. Okay. A little bit about kind of filling in kind of fattening the sound up a little bit. You've got a D on either side of the initial melody string, right? I love kind of passing dissonant tones in this music, and you can play that first D on the A string, or you can play the open D. If you play it on the A string and leave that clamp down, then you can get and play double stop across those top two strings. And that's what I like to hear. And you can keep going with that and get a really nice tonality. Now, you've got G, you've got an octave of G if you want it, and if you leave that clamp down and play your C, and you can get that nice 2 notes of the C chord triad. And if you want to play, if you really want to thrash into it, you've got that. This is all optional at no extra cost, but they're just things to try. And if you're playing with a guitar player, of course, the chord movement on the guitar will fill in the blanks. But if you're just playing it by yourself, those are just nice things to experiment with. So we've gone from this to this. Once more. Now, if you want to play a chord there, I know that Chapman didn't do this, but you can play that A, play the E on the D string against the open A, and the E against the C sharp to get the melody. So we go from this to this. So either way is right. I'm also a big believer that too much of a good thing is not always a good thing. But these are nice things to just kind of throw in there. So now we've got a nice fat kind of sounding A part. And just real briefly, I mean, I didn't mean for this to be a bowing workshop, but the bowing is really very straightforward, the way I do it. And it just starts with kind of the bluegrass shuffle, which is long, short, short, long, short, short. And then we're just going to go straight back and forth on the quarter notes. So down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. I'm very much of what people call a down bow fiddler. I lead most of my phrases with what I think of as the gravity stroke and end them going up. And that's not a rule. It's not a prescription for anything. It's how I learn to play. You can hear lots of fiddlers that don't do that way, and what Tommy Jarrell called jiggle bow fiddlers. Not because they played in 6/8, but because he was not a fan of starting a phrase going up, although he did it himself sometimes. So and finishing just for closure on the bowing. I play down, up, down, up, down, up. So the rhythm is ya, da, 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 ba. Really anything you can do to end on the upstroke. So shuffle, down, up, shuffle, down, up, once more. Questions? So the B part of the tune, I'll show it to you on the low strings, and then we'll take it an octave up, and then we'll really get to start to use that that fourth string relationship on the high strings. So here's the whole part. Let's see. Okay, so here's the first phrase of that. I don't know about you all, but I struggled with a C sharp on the bottom string of a fiddle for years, because I started off playing everything in D with my G string tuned up, and so I never had to. But I've been playing the fiddle for 45 years, and I'm really proud of my ability to play a C sharp on the G string. Isn't that dumb? So there's the first little bit of the B part. And then so the whole phrase is this. Once again. And going on. So second phrase. And then once again. And here it is from the top of the B part. Why don't we cycle that a couple of times? Once more. Now the third phrase, really similar to the first, just a couple of notes added. Here's the third phrase. So it's kind of like the first phrase with the blanks filled in. Here it is. And then the same thing we did in the first phrase. So putting that all together, here's what you got. And finally, so here's the second half of the B part. Once again. Okay, so here's the entire B part for you. Let's drill this a few times before we take it up on the high strings. Once more. Is that kind of sinking in a little bit? The phrases are really similar to each other. It's just a slight difference. And of course, you don't have to play them the same way every time. They're all, in a way, they're all just kind of variations. But now that you've got this melody in your head, listen to this. So let's find this melody on the upper strings now that you got a fourth between them. So we're going to start on that open high D. And going on. one good, one good kind of double stop shape to train yourself into is the C sharp and the E. And the E is now your index finger. You'll find yourself hitting this pretty often in this tuning. So if you watch my left hand, right here, let's just do that again. Top of the beat. Next phrase. And then for the whole phrase. And then and that's nice because you can ring the open A underneath the melody. And grab that 5 chord like I showed you a second ago. And then you got that nice dissonance if you want to play the D and the E against each other. So just, it's easier to do it than it is to say it. Watch. Don't miss like I did. So here's the B part on the strings, on the high strings. Let's go back to the A part. Feels like last week, right? B part on the low strings. Try it on the high strings. go. Just interchangeable. You should take a rest. I forget to stop playing sometimes. Questions? Thoughts?
I find playing that the C sharp with what should be an E to
Yeah.
be dissonant so bizarre.
Where do you mean? The C sharp against the? Oh, there, that.
Yeah.
You mean just the left hand position
The
of it?
fact, yes, just the fact that it's a C sharp against a D suddenly,
Oh.
and I'm used to that being a nice third, but
Huh.
no,
But no.
no. So every time I hit it, it just makes me crack up.
Yeah. I this is a total aside, but it's kind of funny. I had a lot of dental work last year, and I'd knocked my teeth out when I was a kid, and so I had to have a bridge replaced, and something about maybe the mass of the bridge that they put in my mouth, when I hit certain chords on the fiddle, my teeth vibrate, and it's how I can tell that I'm in tune. Because if the overtones hit just right, my whole head vibrates. It never happened before. I'm not recommending you get dental work to ensure that you play in tune, but yeah, something like that is. Don't do that, you know. How's about we play through the tune one time, and you can play that B part low or high, however you feel. And maybe I'll bump up the tempo in the second round. And there you've got it, Snake Chapman's tune. So 1, 2, 3, and. Pick it up just a little bit. We're gonna go up high. Last time. Wish I could hear you, but everybody looks good. No, okay. Ah, well, yeah. So there's GDAD. Lots of tunes in that tuning. You know, some of these oddball tunings, there's not a whole lot of reason to go there, unless there's just one or two things you really want to play. But this is a good one. Another one I wanted to kind of bring us into, and I will in a minute, is GD, which is a nice open resonant sounding. I played you Ways of the World in AEAE the other at the beginning, and this is the same string relationship except the whole tone down, and it just really makes the fiddle kind of more throaty. Take a stretch for a second, and let me play a recording of the tune that I'd like to show you. Get this thing queued up here. And this is a fiddler who was recorded for the Library of Congress in the 1940s, named Marcus Martin. He was from Western North Carolina. And he was also recorded by a private collector named Artis Moser during that same time period. It was all kind of during World War II that he got recorded. And let's see, where is it? The name of the tune is Booth. Some people call it Booth Shot Lincoln, though I'm not sure how that happened. But he just called it Booth. And he's playing kind of in GD, but his kind of pitch center wasn't always exactly where the piano would be. Let me see if I got the right recording here.
Well, this is Booth.
Yeah. Pretty close here. Oops. So that's Booth. That's that's one that kind of got absorbed into the top 10 hits, along with a whole lot of chords that probably weren't there in the beginning, but you can make a really pretty tune out of it. But it's really a nice straight ahead dance tune. And it's one of those old time tunes that really works well for a contra dance because of the way the rhythm is. If you dance the contra dance, you have that balancy kind of thing that you do, and this tune really works well for that. So, should we give that a whirl? All right. So from this tuning, we're just all we have to do is take our original A string and take it down to G. I tried to think this out in advance. And so once again, you've got an octave of G and an octave of D.
What are the notes again for that?
Oh, it's from the bottom to top. It's G, D, G, D. All right,
Okay, I think I got it.
great. Sounds good. Okay, so here's the tune, and we'll break it down just like we did the other one. Here's the top. So once again, you got all those nice open strings you can ring against. This is just a pretty tune. And now now you've got the string relationship is a fifth between the two outside sets of strings, and the fourth is in the middle. So maybe we'll play through a G scale like this one time, and find your fingering. So just like we did between the top two strings when we played Snake Chapman's tune and that tuning, if you want to get the 5 chord, which in this case would be the D, that's a left hand grab that you want to get used to. So here's the entire A part, and then we'll take the first phrase. So the form is A B A C. A B. Here's A. Here's B. Here's A again. And C. Really common sort of structure for a tune like this. The B part shares the same kind of thing, except that the last phrase of the B part's the same as the last phrase of the A part. So I think you're down to having to learn 5 phrases in order to play 8, which ain't so bad. And my neighbor's chickens seem to approve. They're croaking out the window. So here's the top of the phrase. And the rhythm is really cool in the end of this phrase. So here's that whole phrase. once again, you can ring that nice open chord as a punctuation mark right here. You can do it there too if you like. So that's the first phrase. And now, so it goes up, and it goes down. And finally, and one more time. So here it is in the top. Okay? Now, so it's and there's that 5 chord. Is everybody all right? Just clear? All right. So here's what we got. We got that first phrase. Second phrase. First phrase again. And last. Last time. How does that feel? It's kind of hard to mess it up because all the open strings are in the key you're playing in. When I get lost in a jam session, I just pick up the fingers of my left hand. let's talk just briefly about how you'd bow a tune like that, because the rhythm is pretty distinctive in it, and I like to be able to hit the punctuation marks in a meaningful way. So let me just show you what I do. I play a slur of 3, 2. Is that 2? No, it's 3 and 3. So that I can grab that G chord on the downstroke. So it's down, up, down. Ba da da ba da dee da. And then the pickup. Sorry. So that once again I can end on a downstroke and get that strong note. So it's like this: down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Next phrase starts with a pickup, and that's just a quick upstroke and just into a shuffle. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So it's like this, and down. You want to try to end on the upstroke from this. So here's from the top. Shuffle. Down, up. First phrase again. Here's some bowing for the last phrase. I wish I could tell you there's any kind of pattern to how I bow that last phrase, but there's not. So it's down, up, down, down. I'm sorry. Up, down, up, down. It's not that critical as long as you can end on an upstroke. You might be able to shuffle it. Oh, that makes a lot more sense. Let's do it like this. And down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And you're just back to the bluegrass shuffle. Long, short, short, long, short, short, down, up. So here's the whole part. 3, 3, down, shuffle, down, up, 3, 3, down, shuffle. Now check this out. So it's a quiz. How many phrases do we have to learn? Now the second B, yeah. The two B's differ. We've only got to learn one more phrase because everything else is drawn from the A part. Plays into my laziness. So here's what we got. That's all that's left. So once again, the punctuation marks are important in there. 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 Do it again. This is the B1. And now it's just like the A part. So once again, the B1. And the B2. A part in. Top. One more time. Maybe twice. Last time. people have added chords to that and really kind of prettified it, and it's really nice like that. But you can something that you hear a lot more in Scottish and Irish music is substituting six minors for root chords. So people like to hear ba da 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 da, 4 da da da, 1 da 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 da, 6 minor, 1 da da da, 4 da da, 5 da 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 da, ba da 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 da. 4 da da da, 5 da 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 da, ba da 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 da. That's all really nice. You know, that's kind of where this music is going. A lot of my students are at Berklee College are unsatisfied with a one chord. I have to beat them into submission. So I like that tune. Any thoughts or questions about that? It's really worth digging into Marcus Martin's playing. He played some really cool things. Cool.
Are there any recordings of Marcus Martin that are available at this point?
Absolutely. There was a CD that came out, maybe 5 or 6 or 8 years ago. I'm almost certain it's still available. It's called Whenever I Get My New House Done. I'm pretty sure is that the name of it? Yeah, When I Get My New House Done. And I'm not sure what it's on a small label. And it was put out by the Wayne Martin I think he still has been for years, the state folklorist in North Carolina, and that was his pet project for years. But I think that if you go up on like Slippery Hill, are you all familiar with the Slippery Hill?
Yeah.
It's slippery-hill.org, and it's a private individual who maintains a huge library of archive recordings, and if you get on the first page, scroll down to the bottom and hit the search engine, you can search on the Marcus Martin. There may be some stuff in there. In fact, I can look real quickly while we're talking. Also, if you go up on YouTube, just put in Marcus Martin Fiddle and see what pops up, because so much of this stuff has been bootlegged up there as well. It's just how it is in the world anymore. Let's see. Slippery. Oops. I killed it. There's a search page, Marcus Martin. Oh yeah, there's lots of stuff. Go on Slippery Hill. You all know the tune "Shove the Pig's Foot a Little Bit Further in the Fire"? That was a recording that he and his son made in the late 1950s as a fiddle duet. It's really pretty. It's up on there. Sandy River. Looks like most everything is up here. So yeah.
I was in County Clare about probably 6 or 7 years ago for the Ennis Trad Fest, and I had just learned "Shove the Pig's Foot" from Matt Brown, and I did the session there. This young Irish fiddler spoke up and started the tune. He said, "Well, I just heard this great new tune from America." He started playing "Shove the Pig's Foot."
That's great. Well, I played in this project called the Transatlantic Sessions for years, and I did a lot of touring, but I was involved in the TV show probably 10 or more years ago, and that "Shove the Pig's Foot" became the theme song that they played at the top of every Transatlantic Sessions TV episode for that season, and with beautiful pictures of rolling hills and deer prancing through Pitlochry and places like that. It was really great. But it's a really accessible tune. You know, everybody's always asking for that one. That's fine with me. But let's see. I hope this was helpful. Covered some ground, opened a little bit of windows for you. check out some of these classic fiddlers like Luther Strong, and a lot of the Eastern Kentucky guys played in a lot of different tunings. Luther Strong, William Hamilton Stepp, Tommy Jarrell played in several different tunings. Eck Robertson was another one. Not so much the case with the Midwestern fiddlers, but the Southeast stuff for sure. And I guess I'll be doing another workshop like this next week.
What's the next one?
I can't remember the I have to look up to find me.
I can look it up. And this may be, is it next week or is it back up in July?
Tell me the date, John. There may be a little bit of a hiatus here. I forget.
I think it's ornamentation, Bruce.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds right. The next one, yes, correct. Ornamentation, but we have a bit of a break. So July 19th, we'll be back with ornamentation on the 19th.
Mm-hmm.
Making the Fiddle Speak on the 26th.
Great. Phrasing.
Second, regional styles. And then August 9th is a workshop on repertoire.
Great.
So
Cover some ground. And I mean, I hope you'll think about coming if you have any thoughts beforehand, things that you'd like to see covered in those topic groups. You know, these are every topic is a tip of an iceberg in a 90-minute session. You